Who sent that thing?
My creator.
Of course.
The ending of 2024's Venom: The Last Dance was pretty intense, showing Venom making the ultimate sacrifice to stop the xenophages and save Eddie Brock, played by Tom Hardy. Talking with Inverse, director Kelly Marcel shared why they chose that route for the trilogy's finale, explaining that the team really wanted to deliver something epic. Marcel emphasized that they were aiming for big cinematic landscapes and moments where the characters could interact in ways we hadn't seen before. We wanted an epic conclusion, and the only way to do that is to get out into epic landscapes and scenery and have them meet other people. It was about giving the trilogy a grand, memorable send-off, while also planting seeds for the future. Marcel also talked about introducing Andy Serkis as Null, pointing out that Venom 3 was intended to just scratch the surface of the King in Black storyline. It's just an introduction to Null. It's just the beginning for the King in Black. We definitely wanted to end our trilogy, but leave room for there to be other spin-offs, and definitely room for Null to now go out there and shine. She even told IGN that there's a lot more to explore in the symbiote universe, noting how one movie could never cover everything Null brings to the table. As the fans know, there are many more symbiote stories. The universe is wide and rich, and one movie could never do justice to Null. Beyond this trilogy, there are more stories to explore. God is coming. For anyone who isn't familiar, Null is a pretty big deal. In Venom: The Last Dance, he calls himself the King in Black, which is a title that carries huge multiversal significance in the comics. It's especially exciting to see him confirmed as the King in Black in live action, because it opens up a lot of possibilities for Sony's Spider-Man universe and beyond. At the end of the film, Null's xenophages fail to grab Venom and Eddie's codex, which is the key to ending his imprisonment on Klyntar, the symbiote's home world. But in the post-credit scene, Null is still trapped on his throne, confident he'll eventually be free, declaring himself the King in Black and promising that everything will burn. So why does Null call himself the King in Black? In the comics, it's a cosmic title given to him by the Celestials. When the Celestials arrived with light and creation, they pushed Null and the Void he ruled to the edges of the multiverse. He was supposed to act as a counterbalance to the Beyonders, also called the Kings in White or Ivory Kings, helping maintain multiversal order. But Null didn't accept that responsibility. Instead, he defied the Celestials, striking with his sword the All Black and decapitating one of them before being banished to the Abyss. Interestingly, that Celestial's head later became Nowhere, which fans might recognize from the Guardians of the Galaxy films. Null's sword, the All Black Necrosword, eventually ends up in the hands of Gore the God Butcher in the comics. And while Null's weapon is shown in The Last Dance, Gore had his live-action debut in MCU's Thor: Love and Thunder, which is a neat connection between the two universes. After being banished, Null created symbiotes, though many eventually betrayed him because of his obsession with ending life and light, wanting everything to return to darkness. He ended up imprisoned on Klyntar, but Carnage's actions in 2019's Absolute Carnage event helped free him, which set up the massive King in Black crossover in the comics. The storyline is huge. Null invades Earth with thousands of symbiote dragons and even symbiote-possessed Celestials, and it takes nearly every major Marvel hero to fight back, including Venom, Captain America, Thor, Silver Surfer, Doctor Strange, Jean Grey, Iron Man, and more. Null's forces venomize heroes, the Sentry gets ripped apart, and the planet gets covered in symbiotes. A lot of the crossover also focuses on Eddie Brock's son, Dylan, who has the unique power to destroy and control symbiotes. He becomes a key player after Eddie seemingly dies, while Eddie is later revived and empowered by the Enigma Force to become Captain Universe. In the climax, Venom wields Thor's hammer and Silver Surfer's board as a cosmic battle axe, ultimately throwing Null into the sun and vaporizing him. In the comics, Eddie ends up as the new god of the symbiotes and the King in Black, while Dylan takes over as the new Venom. The whole saga is enormous, showing just how epic and universe-spanning Null's story really is, and it gives a lot of context for what Sony could do with their own adaptations now that Null has entered live action. Adapting the King in Black saga for Sony is a massive challenge because the comics cover so much territory across the Marvel Universe. It's likely Sony will focus more on Spider-Man's corner of the story, maybe using Spider-Verse variants or Spider-Man adjacent villains to combat Null. After all, Null is a threat to all existence. At the same time, the MCU has shown that it's okay to take liberties when adapting comics. Captain America Civil War wasn't a direct adaptation, nor was Age of Ultron, so a completely faithful King in Black adaptation isn't expected, but there's hope that some core elements will remain intact, which could even encourage collaboration between studios. There's also the possibility of MCU characters appearing in Sony's King in Black storyline. In the comics, defeating Null required Thor, Silver Surfer, and others, so it would make sense for Sony and Marvel Studios to team up again like they did for the MCU Spider-Man films. Venom remains one of Marvel's most popular characters, even if Tom Holland's Spider-Man hasn't directly faced a symbiote yet. The ending of Spider-Man No Way Home set up the idea that Peter Parker might eventually bond with a piece of the symbiote that Eddie left behind. That setup hinted at all kinds of future stories, like Spider-Man facing Null or teaming up with characters from Sony's universe. Interestingly, the new Disney Plus animated show Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is setting up a nearly identical storyline. In the Season 1 finale, Norman Osborn's interdimensional meddling leaves a piece of the symbiote behind, just like in No Way Home. The series is giving the symbiote a clear narrative purpose tied to Norman, which might be explored more in Season 2. This gives the animated show the flexibility to tell the story that may be too tricky for the live-action films, which are already juggling a lot with Peter Parker's post-No Way Home life and other major MCU events. While it's a bit disappointing that the symbiote storyline may not go anywhere in Spider-Man 4, it's exciting to see it being explored in animation. The show has more freedom to develop characters, timelines, and events without worrying about studio agreements or the larger shared universe. This could lead to some really fun, creative takes on Spider-Man's lore and the symbiotes, and it's a way for fans to see the story unfold even if the live-action films take a different path. All of this shows that Venom and the symbiotes have a bright future, whether in live action or animation. Venom: The Last Dance may have closed the trilogy, but the story is far from over. Null is out there, the King in Black's threat is looming, and there's a bunch of potential for spin-offs, crossovers, and new adventures in the Spider-Man and Marvel universes. Eddie, Venom, Dylan, and even Peter Parker have threads left to explore, and with the combination of Sony's plans and animated adaptations, there's plenty of room for exciting storytelling. With Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock, Dylan, Null, and a host of symbiotes ready for action, the story has endless possibilities. The live-action trilogy may be complete, but the world of symbiotes and the King in Black is just getting started, and fans have a lot to be excited about in the years to come. And that's that for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.